Tomorrow is a big day for political junkies watching the presidential election. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will face off in their first debate. But in the last 24 hours, the attention has been more on who will be in the audience than who will be on the stage. Reports surfaced that billionaire businessman and Clinton supporter Mark Cuban would be sitting up front. That prompted Trump to tweet that he would invite Jennifer Flowers. That's Bill Clinton's former mistress. The Trump campaign later said they didn't expect Flowers to show up, but in a tweet, she says she seems keen to go. That debate is where we'll start today with our U.S. political panel. Joining me once again is Louisa Savage of Politico and Paul Brandis of Westering Reports. Hello, you two.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Louisa, what do you make of this Twitter campaign against each other and the whole debate over Jennifer Flowers and Mark Cuban?
Well, this is all pre-debate psychological warfare aimed at throwing the other opponent off balance and making them nervous and worry and giving them something else to focus on instead of their careful debate preparation. Can you imagine? This is the debate that Hillary Clinton has spent her life waiting to do. She's spent her whole life getting ready to run for president in a way. And she's up against this reality show showman who's now going to threaten to bring up her husband's ex-lover. I mean, it's just incredible. Is this how the United States president is going to be picked? It's kind of an amazing show that is expected to draw an audience of 100 million people. So it's going to be unprecedented.
Listen, I'm sure everybody's going to be watching around the world. Anybody who has access to it is going to be watching this. Paul, what do you think? Do you think the infidelities of Bill Clinton is a weak spot for Hillary Clinton?
Well, it's the most important moment of the entire campaign, and the psychological kind of pregame show that we're seeing. One of Trump's big weaknesses is attracting suburban women. So the fact that he wants to throw in the face of Hillary Clinton infidelities that his husband committed decades ago is a really risky strategy. I understand sort of the psychology behind it, but that is one group that Trump is really doing poorly with, so I'm not quite sure why he's doing it. But again, this whole pregame stuff about lowering your own expectations and raising the expectations of the other is really what each of them have been doing. The Clinton camp has been saying, well, Trump is really very good on television. He had his own show for years and years, and he's really spectacular. On the other hand, the Trump folks say, well, she's been debating her entire life since high school. She's the best debater on the planet. So they're each trying to raise the expectations for the other while lowering their own. And depending on how they do tomorrow, of course, if they meet past the bar that's been established, then they'll be seen perhaps as winning. So it's all just a bunch of psychological stuff that's just fascinating. But the main show, of course, is tomorrow night.
Yeah, I just want to bring our audience up to speed in case they haven't seen it. These are the series of tweets that we've been talking about on this, and then we'll move on to other things. But Donald Trump getting word that Mark Cuban was going to be in the audience, he goes, if dopey, Donald Trump, this is his tweet, I'll show you. If dopey Mark Cuban of failed benefactor fame wants to sit in the front row, perhaps I will put Jennifer Flowers right alongside of him. Now, Jennifer Flowers weighs in, or appears to, hi, Donald. You know I'm in your corner and will definitely be at the debate. Now, I just want to make sure that is Jennifer Flowers and not somebody else. But anyway, Mark Cuban just got a front row seat to watch Hillary Clinton overwhelm real Donald Trump at the humbling at Hofstra on Monday. It is on. So as you say, there will be no doubt a lot of excitement for the biggest show on earth tomorrow night. All right, leading up to it also, we saw a lot of release of campaign ads, Donald Trump's and Hillary Clinton's. I want to give our audience and everyone a reminder of what those campaign ads were like this week. Let's take a listen.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. She's a slob.
She ate like a pig. A person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10.
Does she have a good body? No. Does she have a fat? Absolutely.
So you treat women with respect?
I can't say that either.
All right, good.
It's a movement, not a campaign. Its leader, Donald Trump, builder, businessman, success, doing what others called impossible. Donald Trump's priority? You. Dreaming big, building bigger, united for family, jobs, country, defined by freedom. standing together, pushing ahead, leaving the past behind, changing our future. Together, we'll make America great again.
Paul, you know what's striking to me is that the ads, while they strike two very different tones, they both star Donald Trump.
Well, the Clinton ad is quite powerful, and it's important to remember that women comprise the bigger share of the electorate, and they go for her by a pretty sizable margin. The opposite is true, of course, for men, where she's trailing rather badly. But look, to throw Trump's own words back in his face, I think, is quite effective. On the other hand, the Trump ad, he is the candidate of change. This is a year when people want something different. They want something new. If you noticed in the Trump ad, there were plenty of images of the Clintons. They are hardly something new. They've been around for a quarter century. So that is what Trump is selling, and he will play up that strength tomorrow night. He certainly cannot match Clinton in terms of expertise on the issues, but his strength that he will play up is that he is the candidate of change, and I think the ad reflects that. We'll see that from him tomorrow night.
Louise, what are you expecting from him tomorrow night?
Well, I think those ads show the contrast. Hillary Clinton will be there trying to show that Donald Trump is unfit for the presidency. She'll be trying to get some kind of an outrageous comment, some kind of eruption showing that his temperament is not fit for the presidency. And her challenge will be to address some of these concerns that voters have about her trustworthiness. I think she has to find a non-lawyerly, non-defensive, non-parsing way of talking about her email issues, of talking about the Clinton Foundation and whether donors to it, how they were treated by the State Department, whether they got special access, all these issues that have been swirling around her. Can she give a good, crisp, credible, understandable explanation and put these issues to rest? I think that will be one of her big challenges. And for Donald Trump, I think there'll be a lot of pressure on the fact-checking on him. He can't just keep spewing things that are not true. He can't assert bald-faced untruths in the middle of a debate, as he has in the past, saying he didn't support the Iraq War, that he was against it, which was plainly untrue. So I think the debate moderators will be under a lot of pressure to make sure they don't allow him to get away with something that's false.
Okay, so how do they do that? Because there has been some debate about the role of Lester Holt going into this debate, whether he should be a fact checker or not. Donald Trump has weighed in on that, Paul, saying he does not believe he should be.
Well, you could make good points on either side of that. It's a very interesting argument. If Holt were to correct Trump, I mean, first, let's take a step back. I mean, there's not enough time on this hour-long show to talk about all of the falsehoods that Trump has said. I mean, Holt really has the problem tomorrow night. If he chooses to correct him, that could play into Trump's hands, because Trump is always saying, look, the media is always out to get me. They're treating me very unfair. Here's another example of that. You guys were always calling me on the carpet for stuff. And that plays into the hands of his supporters. So Holt has to be careful with that. One way, perhaps, of getting around that is to not wait for Trump to say something, but bring up the discrepancy in the question itself and then ask Trump to comment on it. I'll give you a quick example.
Sure.
The Washington Post has done a huge investigation here on alleged donations by Trump's charity to a whole bunch of charities. They've called hundreds of them and have not found any evidence of that. So what Holt could do is say, well, Mr. Trump, the Washington Post called these hundreds of charities. They say you're lying about making these donations. What say you? So force him to acknowledge what the reporting has been on issues like that and others, and then see where he goes.
Yeah, what do you think, Louisa? Do you think that'll work with Trump?
Well, I think there will be a high expectation that the networks would apply what they've been doing with Trump's speeches, which is they run text chyrons at the bottom of the screen that actually say, Trump says this, that's not true. And there will certainly be huge engagement on social media, all the fact-check organizations, all the news organizations. I know we at Politico have been prepared to fact-check both candidates. We have armies of reporters, specialist reporters on various policy beats. You know, everything is teed up, so we'll be sitting there waiting to hear what each person says and catching them in a misstatement if they make one. So that'll be on Twitter, that'll be on our website, and all the other news organizations will be doing the same. I think everyone is aware that there's been a lot of untruth in this campaign.
Yeah, and there's been some untruth from the Hillary side as well. I mean, it's not to the level of Donald Trump from those who have been doing the fact checking, but it's important to fact check her, what she's been saying as well. But this whole thing has, Paul and Louisa, really given reporters I guess reporters have had to do a lot of soul searching about how they cover something like this, because the idea in the past is to always appear to be as tough on one as you are on the other. So the conundrum has always been, well, do we look like we're going easy on Hillary if we're always pointing out Donald Trump's lies?
Well, the entire institution of journalism has been grappling with this issue for quite some time now. I think I've mentioned before that a variety of studies have shown, looking back over the past year, examining what these two candidates have said, that both are dishonest, but Trump is a lot more dishonest than she is. How do you handle that? You can handle that by simply saying what I just did. They're both dishonest, but the record shows that he is a lot more dishonest than she is. I think the idea of putting texts on the lower third of the screen, I think, is helpful as well. But it really is an issue for journalists who try and go down the middle and be fair when one side is so much more dishonest than the other. It's really quite a challenge.
And you know what? This may explain the results of the next poll that I'm going to bring up with you. A study by the Pew Research Center, which aimed to gauge how Americans feel about this election and the candidates. The results are bleak. Those polled were given a list of words to describe how they felt about this campaign. 57% chose the word disgusted. 15% say they feel optimistic. Even less said excited. Respondents were asked the main reason they support their candidate. The top answer for Donald Trump supporters: he's not Hillary Clinton. The top answer for Clinton supporters: she's not Donald Trump. Louisa, what do you make of these findings?
Well, I think in part that goes back to those two ads that you showed earlier. The Hillary Clinton ads have been so focused on taking apart Trump, and it hasn't worked for her. The polls are getting tighter. She's not been able to really paint a picture that would inspire people of what she would do as president. In part, she is laboring under this weight of running after a two-term Democratic president. So she was a part of that administration. How does she go forward and say, yes, things are not perfect, here are all the problems, and here's how I would fix them, when she was a part of this administration that got us to where we are, whether it's the rise of ISIS, whether it's the situation in the Middle East, whether it's income inequality. That's a real struggle for her. So her campaign has taken the gamble of just focusing on Trump and trying to make him seem so beyond the pale that Clinton is the only alternative. And yet, because she's so well known, she has decades and decades in public life with so many people attacking her, criticizing her, disliking her, that there is this ingrained suspicion and dislike of her among half the population, and it's very hard for her to overcome that. So you've got these negative attacks on Trump, and you've got this ingrained negativity toward Clinton, and put all that together, and this is not a very uplifting campaign.
Paul, what do you think?
Well, there's one thing about the attacks on Trump that kind of are puzzling. I'm not sure if Clinton tomorrow night should go out and try and nail Trump. If you go back and look at all of the GOP primaries that occurred during the spring, all of these other Republicans, Jeb Bush and Christie and Rubio and Ted Cruz and on and on and on, they hammered Trump over all of these debates. He is a street fighter, and he punched back 10 times harder than they did. So all of these attacks on him by the Clinton campaign, I'm not quite sure if that is really the best strategy. I think one of her issues is that she really has to define who she is, what she wants to do with the country, the direction that she wants to take us. I think that is really the issue that she has to focus on tomorrow night. There are a lot of people who say, I've known Hillary Clinton, I've been reading about her for decades, but I'm still not quite sure what the 1, 2, or 3 big things she wants to do are. It's been such a negative campaign that perhaps she's lost focus of the most important thing is, why do I want to be president? Where do I want to take the country? It's all been about attacking Trump. I'm not quite sure that's the best strategy.
All right, well, we'll see how it plays out tomorrow night. Louisa Savage of Politico and Paul Brandis of West Wing Reports, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.